spectrum of business owners. Cutting marketing and advertising is one of the first kind of knee-jerk reactions to do, because it's a very easy thing to do. Unfortunately, that then puts you in a weaker position, particularly if you have competitors that are still active. So what else can we do during these times? We've seen a lot of businesses pivot. It seems it was a word we rarely used, and now we seem to use it all the time. Pivot during a downturn. So some businesses are completely closed, some are semi-closed, some are changing direction. I'll give you some examples. Over the last couple of weeks, we've helped a Lower Mainland company that works as a music and dance studio, and now selling music and dance studio lessons online. We've helped companies that were thinking about selling products online now go online. There's a lot of ways to adapt what you do. Gyms in Vancouver that are now doing lessons online. So there's always a way to try and pivot. And what we're finding is that those pivots were things that were potentially on a back burner for a small business, and they really wanted to at some point. So if the status quo, if nothing had changed, they'd probably have never got around to adding online classes or an online store or giving consultations online or adjusting their business model to be more efficient. And the COVID-19 thing has come along, and it's kind of is destroyed all of that, and it's kind of do or die now. So we're seeing a lot of businesses pivot in some like these examples that you can read here. And that's something that will stick with them when things start to rebound and we come out of the COVID-19 situation, where you're going to find companies now have a second channel to their business. And that will be, the music and dance studio will reopen, and they will do lessons in person, but now they're going to be able to have lessons and provide lessons for people right across Canada, and they'll run the two at the same time. So we're seeing a lot of companies that have had to pivot now. We think of like Alice and Brome, the ice cream shop. Like they're now doing deliveries. I'd imagine that might be a thing that they continue to do even after this has passed, because it's something we've realized now is kind of helpful and handy to have as consumers, and it's a good revenue stream for them as well. So it's being able to look at ways that you can pivot your business during these kind of uncertain times, but then you'll kind of continue to do that once we get out of this. So it's an interesting time for that as well. This is kind of a classic cartoon that I'm not sure if any of you guys have seen. We've seen it for years and years and years, when everyone was trying to convince businesses that they needed a website that would work on cell phones. It took about 5 years to get most businesses to have a website that worked on cell phones, and now we have digital transformation where for example, trying to buy groceries online, that should be pretty seamless, and it should have been pretty seamless maybe 5 years ago. We're now seeing grocery stores scramble to sell groceries online. So it's just the digital transformation that companies thought was years away, and they may or may not have to deal with it. And if they don't have to deal with it, great. Suddenly hit them pretty hard at the beginning of March, and now they have to do it to survive and thrive. And the benefit is they'll walk out of it having made that kind of digital transformation. The other thing that's really changed in the last kind of like 6 to 8 weeks is how we look at our customer base. Every business knows its demographic. The way the consumers have kind of reacted to COVID-19 has changed, and there's different types of reaction. Just like there's different types of reaction from business owners, consumers and customers have reacted very differently as well. In the past now and in the future, we will still have demographics, but we typically have a demographic of like age, marital status, geographic location, lifestyle, all that kind of stuff. And that's changed, because now it's more about the emotional reactions and kind of like how they economically feel in terms of customers. And interestingly, I added that note in there about working from home has always impacted digital marketing targeting. I'll come back to that a bit later. But we have this kind of demographic that we think we know who our customers are. If you're a roofing company, you might think that they're a family of a certain age in a certain neighborhood with a certain household income, property owner. That could be a more traditional demographic. Whereas in these kind of times, the demographic kind of really does change to the emotional and economic targeting of your customers. And there's kind of 4 main groups, and it'd be interesting to hear if your business has a majority share of these customers. So at one end, we have the kind of slam on the brakes customer. So this customer base feels most vulnerable, hardest hit financially. This group reduces all types of spending by eliminating, postponing, decreasing, and substituting purchases or services. So if you find that your business has a majority of these customers in your customer base, then you might want to look at marketing to or targeting your marketing and advertising more mid-long term. So investing into, if you were looking at getting a new website done, now is a good time. You probably have more time. If you've wanted to do kind of like longer projects or reinvest in your business, now is a good time because your customers are putting on the brakes with kind of spending. The next one is pained but patient customer. These tend to be resilient and optimistic about the long term, but less confident about prospects for recovery in the near term. Like slam on the brakes customers, consumers, they economize in all areas through less aggressively. They tend to be the largest segment, include a great majority of households unscathed by unemployment. So again, these if you find your customers are in this bracket, then invest in the same as the first one. They're investing back into your website, looking into like how you can remarket or stay top of mind over the next few months. They're going to be a little more cautious than others, but they're going to still be thinking about, what's the vacation they're going to take in the fall or summer. What are they going to be purchasing for that? They're going to be not spending maybe right now, but they're going to have the funds to potentially buy into your business in the future. And so how can we stay top of mind during that kind of cycle? The next kind of group of people, comfortably well-off customer, they feel secure about their ability to ride out the current future bumps in the economy. They consume at near pre-recession or pre-downturn levels, but they tend to be a little bit more selective these days. So they, so if you are that kind of roofing company, these may have been your older demographic kind of clients, but be in the knowledge that they're going to be, not shopping around, but they're going to have time now to really dial down on the different quotes. They're going to look at the different materials. They're going to do a little bit more research, whereas maybe prior to COVID-19, there would have been a bit more quicker to make a decision, if you like. So again, a few different ways to target those customers. I can send you the slides afterwards, and you can dive into the different suggested digital marketing avenues for each customer base. We also have the live for today customers. They tend to carry on as usual and for the most part remain unconcerned about savings. The consumers in this group respond to the recession mainly by extending their timetables for making major purchases. So typically urban, younger, and they're kind of like to spend more money on experiences rather than stuff. They're unlikely to change their behavior unless they've become unemployed. So again, if they are looking to take that trip to Tofino in the summer, they're still going to be purchasing their surfboard and tent and camping gear now, and still planning ahead for that in the near future. Regardless where your group of consumers belong to, they prioritize consumption by sorting products and services into the main 4 categories during a period like this. We have essentials, treats, postponables, and expendables. And so the real key for this kind of slide is to think about how that fits with your business and what you're selling or offering. and whether that's a treat, is it essential? Is it something that can be postponed? You know, if I walk into the kitchen now and I have the sink is leaking all over the place, that's not really postponable. So how can I target people that, if I'm a plumber and I'm an emergency plumber, it's an essential. So being able to like think about how the demographics have changed based on emotions, how they're going to be responding over the next couple of months, and how you can maintain mind share over the next few months without breaking the bank. And that is how you're going to come out of this stronger. So that's kind of my slides, kind of touch on those 3 points there, that I thought you'd find helpful as business owners. And I'm going to turn it over to Louise. Do you want me to stop sharing my screen?
Yeah, that'd be great, thanks.
There you go.
That's really interesting. I was just writing down the essentials, the treats, the postponables and expendables, and selfishly trying to figure that one out for what it means for the chamber. I'm going to unmute you all. There you go. Do we have any questions from anyone? Okay, I've got a question for you then.
Well, after you.
Oh, Bianca, you go.
I'll speak in general terms, but and excuse me for being, Bianca. I see a lot of vultures coming out of the woodwork in terms of marketing, and the thing is, what is it about relationships, building relationships, Christian? I was talking to my husband about it. I was like, oh look, there's vultures coming out of the woodwork that want to take people's money, and then I see them pushing it and then sponsoring it out and like, we'll give this to you away for free. And I think to myself, well, no, as in Squamish specifically, you have to develop relationships with people. It takes a lot of years to get people to be comfortable to give you their money, especially marketing and sales. So how do you feel about this pandemic and doing marketing and sales in a smaller community? Because I understand, you're more international, but for the small business in town, how do they react to the vultures and even the other business people? Do you throw your money at vultures? Is that the psychology, or do people generally tend to give their money and their support and their loyalty to people they have relationships with?
Yeah, I can only speak from what we are doing, and like for us locally, like we're doing the opposite in the way that we're actually spending our money on our team, and then by our team, like we support 15 families in Squamish, and so what we would be spending on marketing, advertising, being the like in your face kind of stuff.
Right.
We're now spending on. I'll give you an example. Like for the month of May, we've signed everyone up to have Ice and Brome ice cream deliveries. So times 15, 16 people in our team, so that we're treating our team to something, to a little Friday afternoon pick me up. We're supporting other local businesses. So we're spending the money that we would have like usually elsewhere, spending it locally, and then just through mindshare, like that will help with mindshare, so that you can still do good and gain mind share without like blasting it. And there's actually a really funny YouTube video. I was going to try and embed it into the presentation, but it's worth watching. And it's if you go to YouTube and type in how every COVID-19 commercial is the same right now, and it's if you want to see like the vultures, it's like crazy eye-opening how they've basically merged all like big TV commercials right now and how identical they are, and it's just freaky. So it's definitely worth watch. So to kind of go back onto, I think it's about being helpful. It's about being there and again supporting local. Like we have a small community, but we can all feed off each other. And I think if we follow those three things, I think that's a pretty good start.
Yeah, and I agree with you. That's what we've been doing is with every client I have. Like, for example, I've the magazine with the Taste of Squamish, going to that client and buying that pizza, or going to that client and buying the beer, so that at least you're top of mind
Yeah.
that you've been doing that.
And
So thank you for that. So it's about maintaining your relationships on the human level,
totally.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. I would love to touch on that. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Cassandra, and I am the community manager for Shopify. So we've actually seen a ton of this growth just in small businesses, and we're actually seeing a lot more people wanting to support local. And it's just ensuring that your customers know that you're either open or accepting delivery or curbside pickup and that sort of thing. So we've seen a ton of small businesses that have shut down, but then they're reopening to be offering, kind of like come in, make an appointment, you can shop the store, that sort of thing. And so I think that like basically shifting your marketing to be able to showcase to your smaller communities, like, hey, we have these options. So it's less of that like vulture aspect of it. Especially, I think, I don't know if anybody's tried to order anything from Amazon lately. The shipping takes forever. So everybody is actually getting pushed back into their local community. So this is a perfect time to be leveraging those relationships that you've already been using or already been fostering.
Totally. Yeah. And that's, you can do a lot, I think, of marketing, advertising with and without a budget to let people know you're around, you're open, you're delivering. And we may never see the vulture style of marketing and advertising again. Like I think people are like, they're kind of done. And so it's put that money where it's useful, or put that time where it's useful. I mean, the need for sell, buy was always already on the way out, and it's probably taken a massive drop again.
Yeah.
Christian, I've got a question for you. If we're all online just now and we're trying to improve our SEO and do more online ads, will that shift the cost of any of these paid features, do you think?
I think it depends on which one we talk about and which platform.
We'll talk about Google.
So what tends to happen is, what we saw initially was that obviously if you have people, so if you go back to that kind of mindset of the business owner and the sliding scale, if 75% of business owners have cut back their advertising on Google Ads, then it becomes cheaper for the 25% that are left. That's kind of like an oxymoron for like everyone else, because it's an auction, it's like a bidding process. So if you've lost 25% of your competition, it's significantly cheaper to advertise on Google, because like I always think of like the roofing company, if they've lost 75% of the advertisers, it's now way cheaper for them to get the pool of people that are still looking to have their roof fixed. However, how long that lasts, it depends on how long that middle group of business owners stop doing nothing and get back onto trying to build their business back up. So right now, it's probably one of the best times to advertise, as long as you're looping back and you're thinking about, as long as your customers are within some of those segments where they're still either purchasing now or thinking about it in the future. So
that makes sense. And we do have quite a few people who have their videos switched off. If you want to ask a question, there is a chat function. If you put your mouse over the bottom of the screen, it will then come up on the right hand side. And you can type questions in there if you don't want to switch your video on. Going back to the mindset, personal question for you, Christian, where do you fall on the spectrum?
Insane. I homeschool 3 kids. Actually, say Teresa's homeschooling 3 kids. I'm hiding in my home office is now my man cave. At first I was actually kind of like in shock. I was like, how like, what the hell is going on? Because it was like our first 2 weeks of it, like really hitting the fan. It was like just bizarre. And then I'm of the mindset where, for what we do, I can only speak specifically about our business, is I'm of the mindset that this is a really good opportunity. And in a number of ways. One, because we can help businesses transform. And is so interesting to see companies realize that going online in whatever capacity it is going to give them a sustainable way to continue doing what they do. And we have the resources to be able to do that, so it's kind of cool. And I feel like a lot of our competition have done the opposite. So I feel like we can do a lot to help other businesses, which is awesome. But I feel like there's really good opportunities for us to change as an agency as well, and how we do things. So I'm on this end of I feel like in a weird way, it's interesting, and when business is interesting, it's fun. So yeah. I don't know why, but.
And then when I asked the original question about how things would change, and you talked about Google, is there anything else? Like, how do you think SEO will change?
It won't. It will just be the same. Yeah. You still, like, from an SEO point of view, like having your website placed organically is still as important today as it was 3 months ago, and in 3 months' time, more important. But that the only reason why is it's just such a long-term strategy that these kind of ups and downs, even if it's a year of this kind of nonsense, it's still imperative to have that running, because it's not something you can just turn on and off. We've had our agency for nearly coming up to 9 years now, and we work on our SEO weekly and have done for 9 years. And that's through ups and downs and thick and thin. So the good thing, like if business owners are finding more time on their hands, and maybe their business is closed temporarily, or they have reduced hours or reduced services, now's a good time to do some housekeeping, because there's basic SEO things that anyone can do if they have access to their website, that at the fundamental level. If most people can tidy up their website, they can ask the customer base to review it and ask what they think. Like, now's a good time to like take a step back and review your website and run your website through some audit machines and see where they can be improved and tidied up. And because that's either a time or money thing. So if you've got time, now's a great time to spend an hour a day just writing blogs and all that kind of stuff.
And then Cassandra has made a comment that there's a lot of free resources that teach you the basics so you can do it yourself. For people who don't know what those resources are, can you give a few examples, Cassandra?
Yeah, at Shopify, we have a ton of free resources. It doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be on Shopify as a platform. It's more of just like the basics. Shopify Compass is a really good one, and it has a ton of like different courses on it. And then there's a ton of free resources, I would assume, with all the other platforms as well. So just leverage those at this time, because I know investing in something right now may not be something you can do, but at least with like, if you have a bit more time on your hands, it could be something that you could learn on your own.
And another question for Christian. I remember a previous presentation you talked about your Google business, not account, but the listing.
Yeah.
Should people have changed all their opening hours on that?
Oh, okay, so the Google My Business listing. Yeah, they should be, like, they would probably have a notification when they log in anyway, and it's asking them to make sure that their listing is up to date based on, they launched that new feature of being temporarily closed, whereas prior to COVID-19, it was either open or closed.
Okay.
So you can list it temporarily closed. that's a really good place to spend time as well. Like if you are in that position where you have time on your hands, but you want to invest into your business, that listing platform has changed so much in even just 6 months. And to have high visibility on Google My Business, which is like the Google Maps section, you want that profile to be as filled in as possible. And so what happens, they add new sections and you don't really get notified. So now your business profile that was 100% complete 12 months ago is now only 60% complete. So if you haven't logged into that for a few months, it's worth logging in, making sure your hours are up to date based on the current circumstances, but then also spending time to upload more pictures, add more content to the listing. You're able to post, add posts to your listing. So you can add more context to, like, if you are doing deliveries or if you are offering restricted hours of opening, like that's a really good place to spend some time and use it. It's becoming almost as powerful as having your own website for just kind of like awareness. So restaurants can add menus now, all that kind of stuff. So it's worth spending some time there.
Yes, that's a good tip. I think we'll be doing that. Do we have any questions from anyone else? Let's see if anyone's typing. Well, I don't have any more questions, Christian. You're off the hook. I'm just going to then, is there anything else you'd like to add today?
No, I think that we're here. Like, if anyone has any questions, it doesn't matter how big or small, just like we equally have time on our hands. So if anyone needs any help with stuff, we understand that the Google customer service for Google Ads and Google My Business is very limited right now because all their call centers are pretty much closed. So they feel free to reach out to us, and like, just for local businesses, happy to provide some guidance and help, even if it's just something small. Just give us a yell.
I'd also just like to thank you, Christian, for posting some really good articles on LinkedIn and on the business pages. So thanks for the support.
Thank you. We'll keep doing that. As soon as we, the more we learn, the more we'll share.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Christian. That's it's been really insightful and really helpful. We will post this along with the slides on the website. And just a quick reminder that we have another session tomorrow at 11 o'clock with Christine Campbell, who's going to talk about bookkeeping and payroll. And then, Jen, remind me of the date. We have Patrick Wheeler, who's our MP, coming on, was it Monday the 12th? It was originally the 5th, but he's been called into Parliament, so we'll be changing the date for that one. So thank you again.
Actually, I think it's the 11th.
The 11th?
11th of May. Let me just get to May on my computer. And it's Monday the 11th, and we'll start it at 10 a.m. as well.
Okay, perfect. So there'll be more information in the newsletter tomorrow. We had to change things literally this morning.
And we just also added another event too. Sorry, Lou, to cut you off. On the 12th of May, we're going to be meeting with Government of Canada's export and selling to government. So that's a really good one to jump on if you are thinking about expanding your business to sell to government, which buys a lot of their supplies from Canadians and Canadian companies. So, yeah.
Great. And then I have one question from Carol Arcelia. Christian, what's the best way of contacting you in order to talk more?
I just tried to reply, but I replied privately to Freddie. Probably like email, and then and then if it's something that comes down ime, I can just phone. Phone's always tricky when you have a house full of kids. But if it's something,
you also have a really good business listing on the Squamish Chamber's business listing, so you can find them there as well.
Yeah, there you go.
Little plug, squamishchamber.com. So thank you again for everyone for joining us today. If you have any suggestions, comments, feedback, topics you want to discuss, or you want to get in contact with anyone, don't hesitate to reach out. And I think we shall sign off at this point and have a safe day. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Kristen.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.